So,
Speaking of Collingwood, on a week in which Dane Swan signed, the intrigue surrounding Dale Thomas continues. Take a look at what he had to say on the weekend when asked about GWS's approach to him on before the game.
I think it'd be remiss of me not to be opening to listening to what everyone has to say.
Okay.
It is a decision, but if I could stay, I'd certainly be more than happy to.
More than happy to.
I think it's refreshingly honest, and I think it's how football is at the moment and more of what we should expect, because
What did you read into that?
I read that he's going to look at every offer that's put in front of him via his manager, and if it's good enough, he'll give it serious consideration, but it'd want to be pretty good to dislodge him from Collingwood.
yeah, I don't read that as him leaving Collingwood. Well, you obviously think there's more in it than I do. I just don't know why, if you were Dale Thomas, and I know that they're saying Pendlebury's an ex-captain, perhaps. I think he was anointed yesterday by Nick Maxwell. Thomas is an equally good contender.
They're not going to have a lot of money, are they, to keep these players? Swan's already gone down at $800,000.
You can't put money on being a lifetime Collingwood player when they've won their first flag in several decades.
But
under
money
a
will have to
president
come
like
into it.
Eddie McGuire, who's going to look after you and be loyal to you. I just don't think Dale Thomas will leave Collingwood.
You can't make up Dale Thomas's mind. I mean, you say money has to come into it. Well, maybe money doesn't have to come into it for him. Maybe he's going to sit back and go 600 at Collingwood plus outside marketing opportunities are good enough for me, and I'll stay in Melbourne.
It'll be double GWS, though, won't it? Like
And-
Gary.
but it might be
Gary's
worth-
broken down the perception that you can leave a club. If the best player in the league can leave, and the second best player in Chris Jardine-Ablett 1-2, whichever way you
Yeah,
look
but
at it.
everyone makes their own mind up, Hutchie,
Yep.
and you've got to give the young kid credit. Eddie had a response on this on Triple M this morning as well.
Dale Thomas is absolutely entitled to field all offers. There's no problem with that. That's the way of commerce, and that's professional football and all the rest of it. And, then it'll be up to Dale to decide whether or not he likes his legs. But having said that, if he gets offered the big money, it's up to him to make his decision. So there'll be, that's that.
As we head to the break, you think he's going to go, don't you?
Not yet, but I think he'll have a very good opportunity too, and it'll be very tempting.
All right, we're going to
Certainly
take a
more
break.
likely than Pendlebury. I mean, that'll be Thomas if anyone at Collingwood.
Okay, more on the Pies after the break and some spectacular debutantes. A bit technical.
Goal spread. You love goal spread. It's a big thing, isn't it? And Collingwood continue to have it as we move on to Collingwood and Port Adelaide. They get their goals from... I mean, Dawes is going to look like he might be in for a breakout year, but aside from that, they do spread the load.
Well, I noticed Essendon had 10 different goal kickers on the weekend as well. And you talk about the focus on Revolt at St Kilda, Tomo. Every bloke who plays forward of the centre is capable of kicking a goal for Collingwood, and it is just so important. It makes defenders defend, it puts pressure on them. Alan Didak was the leading goal kicker last year for Collingwood, kicked 10% of their goals. Now, most other leading goal kickers are 15 to 25%. I love the way they share the load down there. It makes it so difficult.
Yeah, and given that they're generally coming in from the boundary line around from the wing side, they've usually got a pretty fat side to hit into, and makes it very difficult for defenders. And as a forward, Gaz, you'd know that when you've got all that space to run into, and they've got plenty of options, and I think it's more their structure than their personnel. You can put anyone in the Collingwood forward line at the moment, and I think that they would be a goal kicker because of the way they bring the footy in.
As silly as it sounds, sides will take something out of Port kicking 7 out of 8 goals, and the way that they went man on man in that period.
Well, they're too good, the defence of Collingwood, to give them an extra number, in my opinion. They were shot. Look at the scoreline. And in the end, Matty Primer said, well, we're not going to play one behind the footy. We're just going to play 6 forwards. And in the end, it made each Collingwood player defend a direct opponent. And all of a sudden, Westhoff got off the leash. I might think he kicked 2 or 3 goals. Heath Shaw had to defend an opponent. I think you've got to make the Collingwood backline defend.
They didn't unfurl the flag on Saturday, Caro, against Port. I'll get your thoughts on that in a moment. Warren Tredrea, the former skipper of the Power, wasn't happy.
I thought it was arrogance, no doubt. But, I can understand commercially why they'd want to do it, but I always thought that it happened in your first home game, and that was your first home game. If that was the case, I would have chatted to the AFL and said, don't put Port round 1 against us, put someone else.
Warren Tredrea calling, but rather the pot calling the kettle black with arrogance. Just kidding. Well,
I think he's right. I think he's dead right what he said.
Well, they wanted to do it at the MCG. I absolutely understand that. A lot of clubs wait until... Geelong didn't do it in there. Geelong, I think, had a home game at the MCG, already had stadium, and they waited to do it at Skilled Stadium. Why shouldn't Collingwood do the same thing? The MCG is their home. I think Warren's on the wrong road.
I'm not sure it'll be concerning Collingwood too much.
No.
I don't really think he's
And the
said
crowd,
arrogant,
35,000, was a little bit light, wasn't it?
Well, given that Eddie said in your column on the weekend that we're too big for any other ground but the MCG, I mean, I'm sure they would have got more people had the game been at the MCG, but there were a couple of disappointing crowds on the weekend, and that was one of them.